I thought there could be some nice symmetry here if this week of shows were to end exactly how it began, talking about a subject which I promise I'll never speak of again after this moment. It's probably true that too much has already been said about Slapgate, but then again, it's one of the most entertaining news events to occur in many years. So, you know, we're always kicking one dead horse or another in our country, so why not this one? Still, even though Will Smith's assault of Chris Rock has been discussed, debated, analyzed, dissected, interpreted, examined, scrutinized in every possible way, from every possible angle, seemingly, there's one point about the incident that has not been made, or at least not been made enough or loudly enough. And I'd be remiss if I allowed the week to end and officially retired from Slapgate discussions without bringing it up. And here's the point. We know that Will Smith is a neutered cuckold prone to violent and performative rage. That much has been established. And he's received plenty of much-deserved criticism because of that, and also plenty of not at all deserved support. And yet the biggest villain in this whole situation, the person who shares at least as much of the blame, if not more, has been left off the hook entirely. And that would be Will Smith's wife and lots of other men's girlfriend, Jada Pinkett Smith. Before we talk about her role in the slap that will live in infamy, we should take a look at Jada's background. Now, aside from the fact that she's been an actress for 30 years and has yet to appear in a good movie in her entire career, the first thing to establish about Jada Pinkett Smith is that she's extremely weird and creepy. So, for example, here she is a few years ago talking to her daughter about how her grandmother taught her, that is, taught Jada, about self-pleasuring, quote unquote, at the age of 9. Reflecting back on her experience of being sexually groomed by her own grandmother, the bizarre lesson that Jada takes away from it is that sex is a selfish pursuit. When a woman is with a man, she says, all the pleasure comes from herself, not from the man. I'm not even sure what that means exactly, except that this is a twisted, depraved woman. But this self-obsessed approach to life came through, I think, most profoundly and embarrassingly when Jada sat down with Will Smith on camera to discuss, in conspicuously unapologetic terms, her affair with another man, a rapper named August, who is only a little bit older than her son. Let's go back. An entanglement, she says. And the only thing she cares to clarify to her husband when it comes to her sexual entanglements with other men is that she didn't need his permission to sleep around. Also, she's the real victim because she was hurting. She was broken. And the only way to heal her pain was to have sex with a rapper half her age. You know, it's bad enough to be a backstabbing adulterer in the first place, but Jada wasn't satisfied with that. She also had to traipse her broken shell of a husband out in front of the cameras and humiliate him publicly. All part of the fun for her, I suppose. But remember, she's still the victim, in spite of her awful, toxic behavior, because she has alopecia. So let's keep that in mind. That brings us to the fateful night this past Sunday, when her husband once again humiliated himself in front of the world and probably blew up his career in the process. It was a decision he made, and he carries the blame for it, but it's fair to wonder what Jada was doing while her husband was getting up from his seat and strolling towards the stage. It's not like he got up and ran, by the way. I mean, he got up and walked, so she would have had time to stop him if she was interested in stopping him. How did she react? What was her role in all of this? Well, somebody in the crowd captured the immediate aftermath of the slap on their cell phone, and it gives a good view of how Jada she's sitting in her seat watching this all unfold and laughing. That's how she responded, by laughing. What kind of wife responds that way as her husband destroys himself? Here's something that all young women out there ought to know before you get married, okay? Part of your job as a wife is to stop your husband from doing impulsive, self-destructive, stupid things. Now, I'm not saying this is a full-time job. Hopefully he won't need round-the-clock supervision in this regard. Teenage boys are a different matter, right? I mean, they'll find 50 different ways to unintentionally destroy themselves and ruin their lives every day. But if they survive male adolescence and make it to adulthood, they'll have probably calmed down considerably. But even so, every once in a while, as men, we get it into our heads to do something outlandishly ridiculous and potentially harmful to ourselves, and we need our wives there to talk some sense into us. There's a reason why married men live longer than unmarried men. This is the reason. So I'll give one example from my own life, just as an example. So as you heard on the show a few months ago, at one of my recent college talks, I decided to go outside and physically confront a mob of angry protesters in the street. Why did I do this? Well, mostly because I thought it would be funny, and it was. But it was also not the smartest thing to do from a physical safety perspective. My wife was not there to stop me. If she had been, she would have thrown herself in front of the door to prevent me from risking my safety for the sake of a joke. She was not able to stop me, though. She wasn't there. We did have a discussion about it after the fact, and now every time I have a speech, she implores me not to throw myself into the middle of any more angry mobs, and she checks in with me repeatedly through the night to make sure that I am keeping that promise. It kind of ruins my fun, to be honest, but I recognize that she's doing her job as a wife. That's what wives are supposed to do. So I appreciate that. If Jada was a good wife who loved her husband, she would have leapt up from her chair, grabbed Will as he headed to the stage, and said something like, "What the hell are you doing?" And Will would have responded, "Well, I'm going to go smack Chris Rock in the face in the middle of the Oscars because he made fun of you." And Jada would have said, "Are you insane? Have you lost your mind entirely? Did you smoke crack on your way here? Sit your ass back down. We'll talk about this later." And then she would have been very sullen and annoyed for the rest of the night. And after the ceremony, Will would have said, "Hey, let's go to the after party." But Jada would have responded that she's not in the mood to party and they need to go home and have a long talk. That's the way it would have played out if this was a healthy marriage, or even just a real marriage. And if Jada was a decent person and a caring wife. Instead, she sat there and laughed as her husband imploded in front of the world. Probably enjoyed the whole spectacle. She obviously has a thing for embarrassing him. Sure, he seems eager to participate in his own self-debasement, but that's no excuse for Jada Smith. And so that's why she is today, at the end of the week, finally.